Good morning, traders. Today is Friday, January 13th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, let's get into it. What do we have in front of us here today? Well, the overnight spent most of the evening rotating around in the upper end of yesterday's range. That is kind of hard to explain. It's neutral, but almost a little bit bullish, right? Because it's showing that they were willing to stay up here above the previous day's range, even above the area where they had spent the previous night. So that is a little bit bullish to see that we spent so much time and brought so much volume in up there. So we're getting ready to open here in a little bit. We are opening inside of yesterday's range. Opening inside of yesterday's range increases the odds of chop. So we will be looking for chop first thing this morning. What is chop? Chop is basically the market working its way up and down inside a range that it's stuck until it can break one way or another. And trying to guess which way it's going to go inside that range can be incredibly difficult. Also, trying to guess where it's going to reverse and come back down can be very hard. So my main focus this morning, first thing, is going to be on this node of volume right here around the overnight low. Let's call it like 39.65-ish, okay? And then this node of volume up here, which we had both yesterday and in the overnight. We had volume that traded, and we had the time, point of control. So the market spent a lot of time, brought in a lot of volume up here. So there you go, market is open. So what I'm looking for is chop between that range. So between this node here on the overnight low and this node up here where the point of control is, I think the market is just going to kind of grind up and down between them. And it's going to be very difficult to pick where it'll reverse and come back down and so on and so forth while it's doing that chop. But how it breaks from there could give us some indications moving forward. So if it's able to break through this support right here around 65 and test that overnight low at 39.61, we will look to see, do we get resistance there? So do we just poke below the overnight low and then come right back up? Or do we poke below and then we get new sellers there? New sellers at the overnight low increase the odds that we're heading down to test yesterday's low. And then we do the exact same thing at yesterday's low. If they're able to push below yesterday's low, come back up and find resistance, we would look for continuation lower from there. And we just continue to monitor and see how far the market can go, okay, if it breaks to the downside. It would be bearish to see the market get below yesterday's range because we have a trend on the daily, because we have been making higher highs and higher lows for 3 days in a row. And we've been keeping value higher for 3 days in a row. Those are a sign that the market has momentum and it wants to keep going, which is bullish, right? But we've also had spikes the last few days, and we didn't yesterday. So that's a sign that maybe this momentum is coming to an end. So if we now pull down below that overnight low, get resistance, and then pull below yesterday's low, well, now all of a sudden we're no longer trending on the daily. Then we start to get bearish, as we might need to pull back, looking for buyers lower. So very important whether or not that low, yesterday's low, can hold. As far as to the upside, what to expect. So as I said, you're looking for resistance right here in this node where both the regular trading hours yesterday and the overnight spent a lot of time. That's going to be the beginning of the resistance. So you would expect chop to start there. And then if it can get through that, just kind of try to work its way through all this resistance. Okay, lots of resistance in here. They got to work their way through it. If they can get through all that resistance, it's the same thing on the way up as it was on the way down. So if they can get through all that resistance, you look to test the overnight high. If they can find support, you look to test yesterday's high. If they can find support, continuation. Okay? But in the middle, inside this overnight range, just expect a lot of chop. I also want to take a quick second just to do an advertisement for the Market Profile e-course. There is a link in the description, link in the chat. There's links everywhere, guys. And the reason I want to bring it up is because I'm only doing these live streams all day, every day, for another couple of weeks. And in particular, only doing this first hour for free on YouTube for another couple of weeks. In February, I'm switching everything up. So if you want to try to make the most out of the time that you have left listening to me explain these things with the real market all day, every day, you really want to take advantage of the next few weeks, and you want to be in learning mode. You want to really be trying to absorb as much as you can so that in February, you personally are ready to transition into a phase of trading where you're thinking for yourself. You're seeing the signals I talk about every day. You know what they mean. You know how to use them. You don't need me anymore. You've only got a couple more weeks to hone those skills. So if you have not taken the e-course, it is a shortcut to getting there. That's the way it works. It is condensed information that if you just watch these 4.5 hours of videos, you'll have a base understanding to absorb a lot more from the live streams. So I just want to put that out there. It's a 3-day weekend. You got plenty of time to squeeze a little 4 hours of education in there. Something to consider. And now the chop. It is also worth noting specifically because of the fact that we have the 3-day weekend, that increases the odds that we will have a nothing burger of a day and just go sideways all day long. That does often happen the Friday before a 3-day weekend, just because a lot of the bigger players have stepped aside. But of course, we never say never, right? Because it's mostly bots these days anyways. So, you know, there'll be volatility. There'll be opportunity once the chop breaks. It's worth noting the low is weak right now because we opened and immediately went higher. So that's the same as if we only had, buyers. There was no real sellers that got a chance to sell below the open. So that makes it weak. David Cooper says, bought it this morning, already on lesson 5. Already on lesson 5. Which one are you on? 2, 3, 4, 5. Developing value. Ooh, that's an important one. Yeah, you're into the meat of it now. So the first few lessons here, the path to profitability, this one just basically kind of teaches you how to be a trader. How does this work? How do you be a trader? How do you develop a system? What's the process that you go through to do that? Then the second one is about the auction process, just the stuff we talk about all day. Then learning to think like a trader, to think with risk management. And then you get into the meat of the market profile references and what they mean and how to use them. So you're just getting into the fun stuff. You're through the boring educational stuff. You're into the fun stuff. Roger says, so in this day, your initial trading decisions are based upon whether the market hits either support or resistance, correct? Yes, sir. So between these two levels that I've pointed out, okay, the support down here and the resistance up here, between them, I know from experience, I don't know what to do. I know if I try to guess where to buy, where to sell, where to take profits, where to put my stop, if I try to play this game when the market is just grinding up and down like this, it's going to be extremely difficult for me. I might be profitable. I might make money doing it, but I'm going to absolutely exhaust myself. And so let's take an alternative look at the opportunity, right? What if instead, when I recognize that the market's going to do this, that it's going to just bounce up and down and up and down and up and down, instead of trying to play that game and, forcing myself into setups, if I just step back and relax and wait, and I just say, all right, you know what? The best opportunities today are going to be after we break this level or after we break this level. Why don't I just stay fresh, relax, just kind of watch the market and try to figure out what it's doing without any real pressure to try to take trades until one of those two levels breaks. That's how I trade chop. So basically, when I see the market was opening inside yesterday's range, I know there's no decisions for me to make for probably the first half an hour of the day. I'm just waiting for the market to tell me. And the short-term traders who want to pick each other's pockets, they want to go long and get squeezed and go short and get squeezed over and over and over again. They can do that. That's fine. It's just not my game. 100 of the shorts got squeezed right here. Then 30 longs. Then another 26 shorts. Then another 23 shorts. Oh, then another 143 longs. I don't want to do that. You guys have fun. I'll let them chop it up. Scooball says, big note of volume as a magnet. He's talking about this node we're at right now, 39.69. A little bit, but not really. I think bigger picture, what we're looking at here is a trend on the daily. We talked about this last night. There's two ways to get through that resistance that's waiting for us on that downtrend. Oh, my chart's upside down. Jesus Christ. I've been staring at this thing like, what is going on? Why does this look so weird? It's still inversed from yesterday. That's funny. That's what it's supposed to look like. Okay. So, yeah, if we were going to break through this resistance right here on the daily, there's two ways that we do it. Okay. We either burst through, come back down, find support, and then we look to continue higher. Or an alternative option is you can just kind of go sideways through that resistance and then kind of continue higher from there. Either one of those scenarios would be acceptable. So I think if gun to my head, I think we're doing door number 2, or trying anyway to do door number 2 today and just kind of start going sideways through it. That would tell me rotational day inside yesterday's range. But if we break yesterday's low, then it's a whole different ballpark. Then it's a failure, right? A rejection off of there. Boop, looking to go lower, So yesterday's low is really the deal breaker in my mind. Michael says, but doesn't the market spend a lot of days just trading in that chop zone? The market has a lot of days where it starts trading in a chop zone. It's very rare that it chops all day. It does happen, but it's just very, very rare. Generally, the chop zone only lasts however long it lasts. It might be an hour, it might be 2 hours, it might be 3. But as crazy as it sounds, the best opportunities are when it's over, whether it's in an hour or 3 hours, whenever it's done chopping, right? Whenever the short-term traders have completely exhausted themselves. Every single person who could possibly go long has gone long. Every single short who could possibly go short has gone short, and they're finally ready to move it one way. That's when the big move happens. That's when the real money gets made. And so it's just speaking for myself. I do much better when that happens if I haven't spent all morning getting chopped up. And so, yeah, there are days where sometimes I sit here for 2-3 hours waiting for an opportunity. But then I make all my money right then and there, and I'm done for the day. And who cares if I make my money betting all day long in frustration or just waiting for one perfect moment and then taking advantage of that? The money's the same at the end. It's the experience of the stress that I feel that's different. One little secret that I figured out about trading over time is the better and better you get at trading, the less and less trading you do. It's just one of these things. It's one of these just truths of it that everyone comes to over time. Is like the more you learn to understand markets, the more you learn when you should just be waiting. That really the money is made in the waiting, not in the buying and the selling. That's a Charlie Munger quote. This is the way. BP says, what the hell? You turn your charts upside down? What type of sorcery is this? Now, somebody asked me to do it yesterday, and so I did it. It's not something I commonly do, but it is a really great trick. If you ever want to, shift your perspective instantly, just flip a chart upside down and it looks totally different. So, for example, you might be looking at a chart and you might be like, man, they're about to break to the upside. This is going to be huge. And then you flip it over and you're like, nope. They're just trying to cause a short squeeze. They're trying to get people short here. Roger says, so if the market goes up to resistance and retests, is that a short opportunity or would you wait for a long break? Yeah, I would wait for the break. And that's just experience. Like, could I go long right here? Because it's a relatively low risk opportunity, right? I'd be putting my stop below the overnight low. And I'm assuming the market can get all the way up to here. So that's good, reward to risk ratio. Sure, on a purely risk reward way, there's trade setups here. In a purely, probability way, there's a lot of trade setups here. I know almost certainly the market's going to chop. I know almost certainly it's going to keep going up and down and up and down and up and down. So you've got good risk reward. You've got good probability. There is opportunities to trade there. But what I'm talking about is my development as an individual person. What I have learned is when I sit there and try to figure those trades out, right? When I'm asking myself, where do I get in? Where do I get out? What do I do? It exhausts my brain. And then later in the day, when the big opportunities, the real, just to put this into context for you, right? Like I could do battle to grab little bits here and there up inside of this range, little tiny trades, or I could wait till we break yesterday's low, see the resistance there, and then get into the short that comes all the way down to repair this weakness. So trying to do battle to make little tiny trades, little bite-sized little trades, right, makes me miss the real meat and potatoes trade. The real opportunity is if we push below yesterday's low and find resistance there, or the failure, right? So maybe I just wait around to get into essentially the same trade, a trade from here to here, but I just wait till we fail to get below yesterday's low and come back in, then I get into that same trade. And I just have much better probability that I'm going to head much higher because we had to look below and fail. So it's just a matter of choosing, when to participate. There's always an opportunity. There's always a way to trade every market, every second of every day. But it's like, what is my market? Where do I do my best? Let me do that. Let me do more of what works and less of what doesn't. Even if there's a chance I could make money in what doesn't, do less of it anyway. Nameless person. How did you do this, nameless person? Did you use a space bar for your name? Nameless person asks, how do you stay alert all through the waiting? I use up all my reserve waiting in frustration. Well, that's the thing. I don't get frustrated because I know I'm going to wait. Right? Before the opening bell even rang, I saw the support, I saw the resistance, and I knew there's nothing for me to do in between there. That's like, do you burn up all your frustration waiting before the market opens? Do you burn up all your frustration last night? Like, no, of course not. You're only frustrated because you think you should be trading. You think you should be taking advantage of the market. You saw that there was support. You saw a good opportunity with low risk and you didn't take it. That's why you're frustrated. That's the energy you're burning up, is the feeling of missing out. But if you don't have that feeling because you just know this isn't my thing, I wait, then there's no frustration. There's just sip your coffee, watch ASMR on YouTube, and relax. Mark says, from trading in the zone, the gift, perhaps for the first time in our lives, we are in complete control of everything we do. The curse, there is no external rules to guide or structure our behavior. That's the thing. That's what society does. That's society's job throughout your childhood, to teach you how to behave, to teach you what are and aren't the correct ways to conduct yourself in this world. And what does society teach you? Well, my boy, Monday to Friday, those are work days. One must be productive. One must be in the office all day, every day, working as hard as one can to contribute to the greater good. Well, that's a fantastic idea if we all work in factories, but we don't. That's not what we do. So what we do is like what a professional athlete does. Professional athlete can't play all game, every game, always. They go in at the moment where they can be most strategic. They can be put to the most use. They perform at their absolute peak ability for however long they need to complete the task at hand. And then they go back to the bench and they wait for the next opportunity. This is the way we trade. This is the edge we have as retail, is that we don't have a boss telling us you have to make money this morning. If you don't make money this morning, you're in trouble. Nope. We can choose to just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And it turns out by doing that, by learning to wait, we are actually better poised to perform with excellence when we do act. So you could think about yourself like a player who's on the bench waiting for their turn to step into the game. Or you can think about yourself like a sniper that's just perched up on that ledge for days waiting till their victim steps out in front of the crosshairs. You can think of yourself however you want. But the point is, you only take action at the best moment, at the moment where you have the most edge. Nav says news incoming. Good catch. Look at that. All the liquidity just disappeared from Bookmap. It just went dark. So something's about to happen. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. Okay, so as always, when the Bookmap goes dark like this, you can't trust a single thing you see. Don't trust support. Don't trust resistance. Don't trust anything. Just wait. We won't know how the market's actually going to move until after the liquidity starts to come back. Until you start seeing some yellow color start to pop in here. It's all just short-term computers that are designed specifically to make decisions in a fraction of a second and compete with one another, making decisions in a fraction of a second. You probably will not outthink them. Best to wait until they stop doing their thing and the regular traders step in. Being that this was a news-driven event, what was it? University of Michigan sentiment. University sentiments. All right, so since we got this push, this is probably their only chance to break through the resistance to the upside here. If the buyers want to take the market higher today, this is probably the only real momentum they're going to get. So I suspect if this holds, if the sellers can hold here, we're going to be looking at a lot of chop today and probably a very boring sideways day. So they created a weak high. The buyers can try to break through here, but this is probably going to be their chance. Good luck. It's also worth noting we are still inside yesterday's range, but the value is now overlapping to lower than yesterday. So we had these signals that we had momentum to the upside, that we were bullish because we had higher highs, higher lows, and value higher, plus spikes up. We lost the spike up yesterday, and today we lost value. So that increases the odds that the momentum on the daily is over. And so the market will likely either go sideways from here or pull back if we dip below yesterday's low. So value developing lower is giving us a signal that bullish momentum is coming to an end. So just another reason to say, if the bulls want to defend, this is their chance. Nunez asks, what would I say I mastered about Bookmap that I struggled with in the beginning? It's not that I struggled with anything in the beginning. It's that I didn't see anything in the beginning. You know what I mean? It was like I was looking at Bookmap and I could tell there was something there, but I couldn't figure out what it was. I was like, this is amazing the way they're organizing the information. I know there's value in it, but now I just got to practice. I just got to keep looking at it day in and day out and get better and better at it. And that's what I'm doing. Still much to learn. I'm but an amateur. Roger, but if the market does break resistance, would you wait for a pullback to resistance for an entry? Yes. So if we can break through this node right here, okay, if we can get through this, I would want to see the market push above, come back down, and then when I saw support, I don't know exactly where it'll be, but wherever I saw support, that's where I'd be looking to go long. So once I know the chop zone is over, we have successfully broken out of the chop zone. We have built support above the chop zone. Now I can look for trades because we're not in a chop zone anymore, right? But I have to see some new signal first. As long as we're still in the chop zone, there's no signal. It's really that simple. So I can't tell you how I will trade a break above yet. I'll have to wait and see what's happening when we get there. I can just tell you I'm not trading it short right now, even though that might be an excellent opportunity. Yes, Monkey, my mom once said I was a hard worker, but that was a long time ago. I'm trying to unpack this comment. What does that mean? Free YouTube live therapy? Yeah, I'm happy. Go for it. Yeah, let me know what you're dealing with in life. I'm here to help. Call me Pirate Charlie. I'll answer all your questions. No, I'm not really into anime. Ed, our odds market will go sideways even with a bull breakout. I'm not sure what you mean by bull breakout, but yes, I would say of the three scenarios for the day today, does it just go sideways inside yesterday's range? Does it go higher? Does it go lower? Right now, higher feels like the least likely, and sideways seems like the most likely. But, you know, we're only a half an hour into the day, so there's still plenty of time for lots of things to happen. But I'm just saying right now, this does feel like a very quiet, you know, rotational type of Friday before a long weekend. And it would make sense. That's one way that we work our way through these type of really powerful resistances on a longer term time frame, is we just kind of melt sideways through them. That is an option. So it's not bearish. As long as we're above yesterday's low, it's not bearish at all. But we just may not have enough for any continuation today. We don't have the power. JTrader bull breakout started at 9:46 a.m. Yeah, I don't see it that way. I don't see this as the bulls having control. That's the thing about a chop zone is when it's chopping, the direction it's moving, those traders are the ones that are wrong. You know what I'm saying? So when they took the market up this morning a little bit, if you recall, we never dipped below the opening price. So the first move was up. Those sellers that came in and pushed the market back through the opening price, they were actually the ones that were wrong because it's because it's a chop zone. There was less and less of them the lower it went. I believe the same thing is happening to the buyers here. That is a different behavior than a trend, because a trend is like bringing in more and more new buyers. So it's like it pushes up, new people join. It pushes up, new people join. I don't believe that's what's happening. I believe that you're just running out of people, less and less and less and less and less as it keeps going up. But I've been wrong before. Screwball, some of this move is taking profits from shorts. That's a good point. Some of that overnight inventory settling itself. I haven't even looked at the ticks today. Yeah, they just got back to zero. Could be. Again, we can keep, asking questions, but for me, I keep it simple. I'm assuming they're going to run out of steam and come right back down unless they do the opposite, unless they break through and find support. So now as it's starting to push up into these nodes, right, you can see where the market spent more and more time, where it brought in more and more volume. We're now watching to see what happens to price up here. Does the volume taper off? Do we get less and less volume where we got more and more in the overnight? That would be a sign of resistance. Chilling with Dylan. The overnight move was news driven. Russia. What was the news? I'm waiting for the day where somebody tries to take out Putin. One of his own guys. I'm calling it right now. That's what it's going to be. I see Russian forces have taken control of Soldar. I don't know what that is. Bitcoin's on a rip. Jesus. Bitcoin. This is what I hate about Bitcoin. I hate this. Stupid BS. It's not supposed to go straight up and straight down, you guys. That's not the way it's supposed to work. Jay says, what news service do I use? It's called Financial Juice. I love Financial Juice. I think it's fantastic. I fully endorse them as a company. It's very, very simple. They just put out basically whatever the most important like headline, the most important like couple of words you need from a particular news thing. They just pop it up here. And then if you want to, you can Google, okay, I want to find out more about this. And then you can find your reputable news sources and blah, 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 and dig in if you want. But it just gives it to you super simple. Just a headline. And they mark the most important ones in red. And it's just, again, very simple. You can say to me, something's happening in the news. And I can literally just click on this page, refresh it, scroll down, look for the first red thing, and then boom, I instantly know what's important right now. You know what I mean? I love it. I think it's great. Yeah, they have a free and a paid service. Not quite sure what the difference is. Michael says Putin is immensely popular in Russia right now, more than ever. His biggest criticisms are that he's not prosecuting the war aggressively enough. That's terrifying to hear. You would have to imagine at some point, when the Russian people start noticing how many of their people are dying, they'll stop liking it so much. Everybody who's dying in the war has a father and a mother and a brother and Thomas, propaganda, and it's hard to get honest answers. Yeah, that's the same thing with China too. It's hard to even know how the Chinese people or the Russian people really feel because it's not like we get good data coming out of there. All right, so we've got new buyers up here. We have begun the process of bringing in new buyers to try to poke through the resistance above. Um, market generated information wise, that's a little bit bullish to see and slightly increases the odds they might try to take the market higher. I will just tell you personally, instinctually, it doesn't feel right to me. I feel like the buyers who think, the buyers who are doing the buying right now, they think they're going to get a big move higher and they're not going to get it. And whenever the resistance finally holds and we pull back down, all these buyers will get squeezed and we'll chop right back down to the open again. So it does feel like they're going to try to poke higher here, but I certainly would not consider being long, just based on instincts. It feels like the buyers are fixing to get squeezed. All right, so we're getting a little short covering here as some of those sellers that were trying to hold that resistance are getting squeezed here. So now comes the question. Have we finally broken out of the chop zone? Can they start to turn these nodes up here that were resistance just now? Can they turn them into support? Can they bring in new buyers up here? If they can, it means they're trying to continue the market higher. If they cannot, well, then we'll chop it up. J Trader, Yellen sees a soft landing. I'm sure she does. Okay, moment of truth. Can they turn it into support? Can the buyers hold it here? Can they keep the ticks? Or are they about to get smacked down? Dancing right on the razor's edge. Can they hold it? All right, new buyers. It's bullish. So now what they're going to try to do is they got to work their way through all this resistance from the overnight. This is going to take some grinding to punch through up here, but it does look like that is what they are trying to do. If they can get through that resistance, they're looking to test that overnight high. And then as we discussed earlier, the real opportunity for the day comes if they can get above that overnight high and do this again. Bring in new buyers, keep the ticks, right? If they can do that again up there, then it's rockets, baby. Then it gets real bullish. But I reckon now we got to work through some resistance. But I no longer see it as chop. The buyers are winning. I'm just going to go ahead and put up the black banner because I'm switching the stream here in a minute, but I am bullish. It should be a green banner. Once again, just a quick reminder to everybody here at the end of the day. Sorry to commercialize your entertainment, but if you've been thinking about learning this, about really committing yourself to it, I'm only going to be doing these live streams all day, every day for a couple more weeks. So you want to take full advantage of this opportunity, I recommend signing up for that e-course this weekend. $150 is only 3 points in the MES. I'm sorry, in the ES. Okay, so literally from this support from here to here, you can pay for your education. But you need the education to know the trade is from there to there, right? You need the education to know you wait the whole chop zone to find out are there buyers up here to then look for those opportunities to take the market higher, right? So you got to take the course first, then you make the points to pay for it. Just something to consider. All right. With that, I will bid you all farewell. To me, I still feel like the highest probability is a sideways day. But for now, the bulls are in charge. So if they can get above that overnight high and they can hold it, it could be a continuation of the trend, right? We could make higher highs and higher lows as we have. We could continue to push price so far up that we pull the value area to overlapping or higher by the end of the day. It is not impossible to imagine that it could happen. It seems less likely because it's a Friday on a weekend, like we talked about, but it's not impossible. So if the market gives us that signal, if we push above the overnight high and we find buyers there, don't be fooled. Recognize the opportunity and look for the continuation of the momentum. All right? Up there around yesterday's high is also where you start to step back and give yourself some perspective looking at the daily and recognizing that downtrend. Okay? We get back up there above that overnight high, suddenly this looks like a totally different scenario, doesn't it? Now, all of a sudden, the big wicks are to the downside, not the upside. So now it looks like all this little bounce was just setting us up for the big move, right? So things could get very interesting above that overnight high. But until then, I think it's going to be an inside day. Okay? Let's see what the bulls have. Let's see what they can do. Happy Friday, everyone. I will see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye. Meister says, what are the private streams going to be like starting next month? It'll be the first hour like this every day. And then if I feel like I want to keep going after that, I'll keep going. If I don't, I won't. And you'll never know. Is Charles in the mood or not? And it won't matter because you'll learn to think for yourself. So you'll get my perspective every morning to start the day. And then you'll take it from there. Okay, bye.